And so what happened was is that they started the process, and I didn't realize it went on for like ever. It started back in February. Interestingly enough, they don't pick somebody until April. I graduate in May. Okay, it didn't occur to me that this man was stringing out the process long enough for me to be able to take the job. Now, keep in mind, I always wanted to be an attorney. But you know, I just wasn't getting there. And so, I knew that you had to be an attorney. Everybody had always been an attorney. They're going to be looking for an attorney. All the people that were going to be competing with were attorneys. So I did what I always do. I did my homework. So I called all of the fair housing agencies throughout the country, got online, called them all, and tried to get a sense of how many of them had executive directors that were attorneys and how many didn't. And I realized that it's about 50-50. So I figured, hey, good, I got a 50-50 shot chance of getting this job. Then I called some people who had previously worked for this organization. I got all their materials, found people, got on the, got on the websites and everything, found some people. Let me give you a word of advice. I called this one guy who was listed on it's called their annual report. And I called him, and I actually got to him. I got to his house, I got to his number, and I left him messages. And I left him messages, and I left him messages, and he never returned them. We're going to tell you about the rest of that in a minute. So I end up, there's a point where they're going to do one more final interview. And the final interview, he says now, is, well, they want to just see what your legal acumen is. Okay, so this is the point where, you could spare me, and, I'm not an attorney. There's no way. Everybody else is attorneys, and I possibly couldn't compete. So thanks, I'll drop out now. He says, no, I really want you to stay in. I say, okay, fine, and I make some more phone calls, and I call all the attorney people that I know, tell me what they might ask me, give me some sense of what's going on. And I go to the interview, and I think I'm prepared. I'm sure I am prepared. They ask me these questions, and this guy who had been interviewing with me the whole time never looked directly at me. And he always seemed to be somewhat not interested, and I'm thinking, I'm just not getting this guy, right? And I finally go, and I give my answer. He jumps up, and he says, if you went to law school, you'd have had an A. I thought, okay, should I go to law school, or am I going to get the job? But I realized, I'm like, I nailed it. I nailed this interview. I've got the job. I know this. So I go home, I have my wine, I'm all excited, I'm telling my husband, and I get the phone call from this professor who is on the board of directors, and he says to me, so I'm all excited thinking, I got the job, this is great, this was the last one, I'm in. And he says, but he had this really bad sounding voice, and I'm thinking, ooh, this isn't good, what's wrong? I know I nailed it. He said, well, I said, I thought I did really good. He said, yeah. He goes, actually, problem is you did too good. I'm like, no, that's not possible. He said, no, the problem is that they think that the only way that you could have done as well as you did is that you must have cheated. I said, wait a minute. Because now remember, I've had some wine in me. Okay? That's important to understand when I have some moments that wine has a lot to do with it. So I had some wine in me. I said, well, no, wait a minute. So what you want me to believe is that these people who were sitting there interviewing me for a position from the anti-discrimination program about race, that you and I, because you were the only other person, and they know that you know me, you're black and I'm black, that we conspired to get me this job. Okay, part of that was true because he kind of like let that part out, but I actually had to get it on my own, and so I kind of shamed him into fighting back. And told him, I said, you got to go back there and you got to tell those people we didn't cheat. And long story short, I did get the job, obviously. And but it was a lesson that I still had to fight. It wasn't over. And I'm like, wait a minute, the anti-discrimination people are discriminating against me and making these accusations that I would cheat because of the color of my skin, because there's no possible way I could be smarter than anybody else. I'm really mad. And of course, all my friends were like, yeah, so obviously you wouldn't want to work for them, would you? I'm like, oh no, I'm going to work for them. I'm going to show them something. I'm going to show them what I can do. Right? I'm going to show them off. And I did. So I got there, and the joke was on me. They had no money. When they showed me their original budget, it had money in it. What I failed to ask, the one question was, where's this coming from? And they said, well, that's what you have to raise. What? Oh no, we can't have that. They said, well, so what's really going to happen is that we have enough money for about a month. At the end of the month, you have to lay everybody off. I'm like, ooh, be careful what you ask for. Yeah, that's that thing again. Yeah, I learned that lesson. Didn't get it right though, obviously. And so, and the interesting part was now they got me really mad, because I'm like, so you put me through all that for a job that was going to last a month? Well, no, they expected that I would raise so much money that in that month that everything would be okay. Long story short, on this particular one, is they hadn't done an audit, which is required by law for nonprofit organizations in the last 5 years. I'm like, okay, well, that's a bigger problem. See, not having money, that's one thing, but not having audits done is another thing, because in order for me to raise money, I'm going to have to go to the banks, and the first thing the bank's going to ask me is they want to see my current audits, make sure I'm in good standing before they give me any money. How am I going to raise this money? And so, again, this is where the creativity comes in, and I actually ended up raising the money. I got some grants, and not only did we never close those doors the 30th day, I never let a single person go. I increased the staff. And when I left there, I wrote the final grant that gave them tons of money. They had a debt of $50,000 on top of having no money. I paid off the debt. I put everything back right, and I walked out with my head held high and basically told them, well, okay, I didn't tell them that. I thought it, though. I thought it to all the people that didn't think I could do it. And so that's the important thing. So that's really how I got into public service. Not so much that you got it, but you got that one, I had to really be somebody who cared enough to want to serve people, because the public sector is about serving people. I know that if you go to the RMV or the DMV, you might not think that, because I've been there. If you go to the DTA, you might not think that. If you go to a lot of places, you may not think that, but somewhere in there, it is about service. More importantly, it's also, about poverty. Because they don't pay a lot. Everybody thinks they pay a lot, but they really don't. They've changed everything because everybody thought they got paid a lot, and they did, and now they don't anymore. So if you get in now, you're not getting in at the level that everybody else got in. Had I known that you could do the kind of things that people were doing in government, I'd have been in there a long time ago. Because you didn't need any skills, you didn't have to be able to do anything. Matter of fact, you didn't even have to like people or the job, and you still got to make a whole lot of money. But that's changed now. And so now you actually have to have skills. So you have to make sure that the job that you're looking for, that you're actually qualified for. Now, I want you to remember this. I never told you the rest of that story. Let me back up for just a second. Remember that guy that I made all of the phone calls to who never returned my phone call? Remember how I told you that I was hiring a whole lot of new people? He wanted his old job back. Do you think he got it? No, but he got an interview where I was so excited to meet him, to finally tell him the only reason why I wouldn't hire him is because he fails to return his calls. Yeah, that was fun. Okay, it was a little, okay. I keep forgetting about that thing in the back. Every now and then, you do have to make yourself feel good, even if it's the small things. And so he didn't get hired, but I'm sure he learned the lesson that he ought to call people back when they call him. It's called common courtesy. And so these are kind of the lessons that I learned, is all about the things that have happened to me, about how I got here. But most importantly for you, how do you get here? How do you get to this point? You don't have to be black, as you figured out by now. A lot of the things that happened to me were just the setup to tell you about the personal things that I went through, the strengths that I had, what it took for me to continue looking up every time I fell down. And believe you me, I fell down a lot. So I spent a lot of times on my knees, so I couldn't wait to get back up just for a reprieve. I think I need new knees, as a matter of fact. And I'm not kidding, I think I have arthritis in them, I fell so often. But at the end of the day, I learned a lot of things about myself, and those are the things that made me be able to do what I do today. I had to forgive myself, because there was a lot of times that I had to just say, it's okay that you're not who you thought you were. I wanted today to come up here and be commissioner-esque, and my dream in the world is to get up here and give you one of those nice genteel kind of speeches where it's all written down and everything is nice, and you think, oh, she's so smart. But that's just not me. Okay, not the smart part, but the genteel part. I'm a little different, and I do dance to the beat of my own drummer, and I don't care if I can't dance anymore. I get out there every time I get a chance, and I dance like nobody's watching, and I really don't care. And I will tell you this, if you want to talk about me, you can talk about me, because it's none of my business. I don't care what you think of me, because I know what I think of me matters more. And I began to realize that these affirmations that I had over time had some powerful ways of making me retrain the brain that had a wreck early in my life. And so I got back on track, and I will never get off track. And it's okay if I'm not genteel. It's okay if I'm rather funny. It's okay if I sound like a man on the phone. It's okay that I'm not white. It's okay that my father never graduated from high school. He's dead now, so who cares? No, I'm just kidding. It's all right. I love my father. It's okay that my mother, when my father beat her, didn't fight back. And I always thought she was weak. I bought her a house anyway. Because it matters what I think. It matters what I do, because I am the one that has to account for my actions. And so people can have you do all kinds of things, but at the end of the day, you have to become the authentic you. You have to know who you are, you have to know what you're about, and then you go with it as boldly and as brazenly as you possibly can. And in order to get those jobs, the first thing you got to do is get online and find out where those jobs are. Okay, there's the mass.gov job. Okay, you can go on mass.gov and they will give you all of the jobs that are available. And there's what you want to do too, and I'm sure as you all know when you're searching for a job, is to actually read the description. Read the description, see if you have those skills and experiences. What you should have learned here today is that while I talked and started out about being black and most of you thought you had nothing in common with me because there's no way that you could have the black experience, I'm sure that you understand what it's like to have had your heart broken, what it's like to have maybe been depressed, suffer from anxiety, had things happen to you that you wish hadn't happened to you, having to recover, having to be flexible, having to learn things that other people perhaps didn't have to go through, but doing it with a smile on your face and knowing that it's okay to be different and knowing that it's okay and forgiving yourself when things didn't go the way you wanted to, because the only way that there truly is a failure is when you didn't learn the lesson that you were meant to listen to. Okay, so a lot of times things happen to you, it's a lesson. It's an opportunity for you to grow from that and to experience things and to be able to say, I got it right the next time. So part of all of that being said, when you go there, you have to go boldly, you have to stand up and say, yes, I can do anything that is on that paper. One, because I have transferable skills. I know how to transfer what I have today, what I'm doing today, into what you want me to do. Be creative, because that's what you're going to need in order to show them transferable skills. Be bold, be daring, and tell them you will not quit. We just did an interview with a woman who had interviewed with the MCAD before and didn't get the job the first time. She went back, got some training. She actually interned at the EEOC and then came back again. And what was the strong point of her getting that job was the fact that she had tried, she failed in her mind, but she knew it wasn't a failure if she went and got what she needed, and that's what she did, and she came back and she's got the job today. So somebody may say to you, no today, it's not no forever, it's no for today. That means go back, retool, get what you need to get, and then move on and go back there again, because you can always slay the dragon. It's not what happens to you that matters, it's what you do in response to what matters to you. So get online, go to, there's USA.gov, I think is the one, USAjobs.gov is for the federal side, and then the state side is mass.gov. You can do that for every state, and I'm pretty sure every state has the ability to do that. So everything's online now. So you go and do your research, do your homework, find out what you're looking for, get the skills. And like I said, it's always good to give to other people, because that's what public service is all about. So they know if you're doing all these charitable functions, that you're working with your community, that you're a person who really cares. When I look at the resumes, I look to see, do you have a civil rights bent? Now, did you, were you black? No, you don't have to be black, but, did you have some experiences that would lead you to be able to do the work that you do, that I can see that you have the passion to do it, or the desire? Because at the end of the day, and we all know this, right? We know this. If you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. That's what my wish for you all is that you never work another day in your life. That's it. Thank you.